Morning and happy Sunday, everyone. My name is Melissa Tuff, and I am a practitioner student at the Center for Spiritual Living, Cape Coral. So it is my great pleasure to present the meditation to you today. But before I get to that, I'd like to just share with you a second what I took from this week's themes. And what really popped off the page for me was creativity and infinite possibility. And just thinking about how we live in this infinite universe of so many different things happening. And it just dawned on me like how amazing that is and how much we don't really take that for granted. We don't use it enough. And so that got me down like a little rabbit hole of how we are co-creators of our life. And if we believe that to be true, would I want all of my thoughts and ideas to come into fruition? Because I know, like a lot of people, I've had some things pop up in my life that were less than favorable. And at the time, I had some pretty strong emotions about it. So would I want all the thoughts that I had during that period to come into fruition? Probably not. But knowing what I know now and going forward, I think that I take a lot more time to process things now so that I don't make rash decisions and that I'm not thinking from a space that isn't of love and compassion. So I'm not perfect, but I'm getting better at it. And I just wanted to kind of share that with you today before we go into our meditation. So I would invite you to join me and get into a comfortable position wherever you're at right now, joining me. If you're on a couch, or perhaps you're still in bed, or maybe you're in your kitchen chair like me. So wherever you're at, just take a deep breath. Get into that comfortable position that you can maintain for about another 10 minutes or so. I now invite you to shut your eyes and start to relax. Take in a deep breath and now breathe out. Empty your lungs completely. Once again, take a full deep breath. Don't strain or rush, and release. Breathe in strength. Breathe out tension. Carry on this breathing pattern to relax deeply and fully. Take full, deep breaths. Allow your breathing to discover its own natural, unhurried pace. And as ideas enter your mind, allow them to go without attachment. As you sink into comfort and relaxation, see yourself enjoying a waterfall of sunlight and crystal water. As the sun and water cascade over your body, you absorb the healing oxygen carried inside your blood vessels through your whole system. The oxygen heals and releases the holding contraction of each muscle. Every muscle becomes taffy, soft and pliable. All tension gives way to easiness. The cascade of sunlight reminds you of the source of all energy. Your whole being sings with release and renewal as the source refuels and strengthens your body and spirit. In healing, all is possible. As you heal your spirit and body, your gifts to the universe emerge. The healing vision of cascading sunshine and water is yours whenever you want it to be. We live a life of choice. Your breathing is unstrained. Relax your toes and feet. Relax your ankles and knees. Relax your leg muscles. Your breathing is deep and relaxing. Relax your fingers and hands. Loosen up your wrists and elbows. Relax your arms. Your breathing is slow and peaceful. Feel your feet and legs get heavy and warm. Feel your hands and arms get warm and heavy. Simply breathe as your thoughts come and go. Center on your breathing. Let go of tension as your body falls into a state of peaceful quiet. Unclench your jaw. Relax your face and let go of your tongue. Your heartbeat and breathing are serene and steady. Your breathing is relaxed. Void your mind of all thoughts. Your abdomen is soft and warm. Your limbs are heavy and warm. Watch your thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. Your hands are warm. Your forehead is cool. And your breathing is deep and relaxed. Feel your breath sink lower and lower into your lungs. As your shoulders drop, feel your breath fill the upper part of your chest. You're relaxed and peaceful. Your breathing is deep and relaxed. Warm hands, cool forehead. Empty your lungs totally. Hear the silence grow as your mind hushes. You are relaxed, calm, and centered. Your heart rate and breathing are calm and steady. Warm hands, cool forehead. Your breathing is deep and relaxed. Enjoy the quiet. It is now time to leave this place, so begin your return. Let your breathing bring you back. Gently take a couple of deep breaths. Pause for a moment and remember one last time you can return to this place anytime you wish. It is always our choice. It may only be for a moment, but it will remind you of the sense of peace that's yours. I invite you to now open your eyes and just feel the goodness of the meditation for a few moments. I'd like to thank you all again for joining me. And now stay tuned for our Sunday celebration with Reverend Shell. Thank you so much. Peace and namaste.
Hello there, happy day, good morning, and welcome to the Sunday presentation from the Center for Spiritual Living, Cape Coral, Florida. I'm Associate Minister David Renee Jennings.
And I'm Music Director Vicki Jennings. We wanted you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we are so glad you've chosen to join us this morning.
All right, join us for a blessing just now, for you, for us, for everyone. And it goes like this. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We know who you truly are. You are the spiritual image and likeness of God. We appreciate you, we love you, and we are grateful for you. Thank you for joining us this morning for this presentation.
I wanted to let you know that you can find us on Facebook, and we also have a website. There are several places you can join us, and there will be prayers and blessings throughout the week. So continue to come back and find us here.
Welcome, happy day, health and happiness to you and yours. All the very best.
Good morning.
As I sit in quiet solitude, knowing my oneness with all that is divine, I release all thoughts that are not gratitude, and I appreciate the gifts that I know are mine. The meditative state that comes over me helps me to be at peace within my mind, releasing thoughts that are not serving me, knowing that what I seek I will surely find. Recognition, knowing oneness, affirmation of all that is true, giving thanks and then releasing. That is all that is mine to do. As I look back along the path that's brought me here, following the twists and turns throughout my life, what I thought was negative has turned into positive. What I thought was darkness has turned into light. Teachers came into my life along the way. When I was ready, they just appeared. Taught me how to live by the way that they live themselves. how to release those things that I thought I feared. Recognition, knowing oneness, affirmation of all that is true, giving thanks and then releasing. That is all that is mine to do. As I sit in quiet solitude, knowing my oneness with all that is divine, I release all thoughts that are not gratitude. And I appreciate the gifts that I know are mine. I appreciate all the gifts that I know are mine.
Good morning. My name is Valerie Data, licensed practitioner for the Center for Spiritual Living, Cape Coral. It's my pleasure to bring a reading and prayer to you this morning. This month's theme is Bright Beginnings, and the week's theme is Unwritten. Your story is waiting to be written. What is the story you are creating in your life? We write the unwritten story of our own life. The past is not precedent. Each moment is an opportunity for a new choice and to align with that which we are bringing forth in life. Our individual stories make up the collective stories of our families and communities. The choices we make and the stories we write have the power to bring forth healing and good in a world that is seemingly divisive. Let's write a story individually and collectively that brings forth more peace, more kindness, more love, and more unity. So taking this into prayer, I recognize one power, one indwelling presence, that divine infinite intelligence, which is the divine essence of me and of all creation. So as I know that it is my divine nature and I identify with it, I claim those attributes of spirit which enrich my life: greater peace, love, harmony, compassion, joy, prosperity, and creative expression. So I know that we all have this free will, the ability to choose a better way for our life. So I bless this day and all its activities as they unfold with grace and ease. And I release my word into the law of mind, knowing it is already done. Please anchor this in prayer with me by saying, "And so it is." Thank you. Now let us welcome Reverend Shel Redfern.
Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I am Shel Redfern, Spiritual Director of this wonderful center. Today, the talk title came from Home Office. I'm very happy to be using Home Office's themes again, and it's called Unwritten. And the whole premise from Home Office was looking at the stories that we are telling ourselves, and that our stories are largely unwritten. So this talk is going to come in like 3 different parts. First, we're going to talk about some of the things that Home Office had to say, mixed with a couple of my stories. Second, I kept running into this information all week. You know, when you're like getting a barrage of information all pointing in the same direction, you got to pay attention, and I had already known this was the theme. That's what this past week was. So in practitioner training, I ran into a writing by Mark Nepo, And we're going to talk about that and then finish with Brene Brown's work. Absolutely wonderful work that Brene Brown is doing. And then, of course, Ernest Holmes. Can't complete a talk without having a little bit of Ernest Holmes, for sure. So the notes from home office started out talking about the stories that we tell ourselves. And as I was reading these notes, it occurred to me that every single memory that we have is a story that we tell ourselves. I'm going to give you an example. Many years back now, Katie Griffin, who was my business partner and is currently one of my dearest friends, Katie and I had a business together, and it was a PR and marketing firm. And I struggled every time she wanted to raise the rates that we were charging for my work, my graphic design work. I really struggled with that. And I did good work, you know, as a graphic designer, and I should be getting what somebody with 20 years experience in doing what we were doing. You know, it was market industry price, but it was really, really, really difficult for me to charge those prices for my work. It was something that Katie and I conked heads on all the time when she was doing proposals. So one day she said, would you be willing to talk about this and maybe we can get to the bottom of it? Well, we used a couple different systems, and bottom line, she kept saying, okay, so the first time you felt like your artwork was rejected, when was that? I thought back and I remembered something that happened in first grade. And I said, first grade, I was 6. And she said, okay, there was a time before that. What was that? And I thought and thought, you know, I was in kindergarten. And somebody brought in this big brown dog for show and tell. And they had the dog up on top of the tables, and we all drew pictures of the dog. And I'm from a very creative family. And so my family always said, you know, color outside the lines, think outside the box, this is good stuff. So my dog was really colorful, had all the colors in the rainbow on that dog. And I remember the teacher and the other students going, that's not what the dog looks like, Shell. The dog is brown. But that's what I saw as a little one. And so then Katie guided me through a system where we defragged that memory and we reworked that memory. In other words, I became the teacher, I became the other students, and I became little Shell, and we just processed it, you know? And after that, I could charge for my work. It was amazing. It was something deep in my subconscious, a story buried deep in my subconscious that was holding me back from wanting to bill my work at the normal hourly rate, the going hourly rate here in Lee County. Now, you may have some stories like that in your mind too, and they're called memories. And some of these we're conscious of, and some of these we're not conscious of, but they can run our life. They can absolutely run our life. They are the stories that we are telling ourselves. I also remember reading a book that was called Same House, Different Home. And it was about the roles that different children within a household played based on birth order. Very interesting. I was the first, I was the oldest. And they said it's very, very common for the first and the oldest to be overachievers, perfectionists. They are generally the caretakers in the family. And, well, perfectionist for sure. I don't know about overachiever, but perfectionist for sure has been something I've worked with my entire life. And definitely a caretaker. That's certainly my personality. And then they went down the order. And then they talked about the perception of the household based on birth order. And that's why the roles were played the way that they were. So here we were, 6 children in the same house. And all of us were born pretty close together. You know, 6 kids in 7 years. There's not a big age range in us. But boy, did we have a different experience of that home. And those different experiences became our stories about our childhood. So it's all based on perception. And so many things influence our perception, but they create these stories that we bring around with us for a lifetime. So what can we do with that? What can we do with that? And what are some other insights that we can have around this? I'm going to turn to Mark Nepo's work now. And this is from the book, 7,000 Ways to Listen. Mark Nepo says this: the truth is that no matter how gifted or blessed we might be, no one ever gets what they want. I love that phrase. And you might be going, what? This is what life looks like. Life is seeking fuller, freer expression. It uses us to do this. So we will always be in a state just a little bit in some area of longing or discontent. We're going to want to build something. We're going to want to do something. We're going to want to go somewhere. You know, it doesn't have to feel horrible. It can feel like an adventure, and this is what I'm encouraging, actually. But life unfurling itself, growing itself, expanding itself, looks like we're always going to be searching for something. So this is normal. A searching story is normal. It's part of who we are as human beings. And I'm going to invite you to welcome the searching story, the story of wanting something greater, wanting something bigger. That's God in you seeking to express, as it can only do as you. What else does Mark have to say? Let's see. The truth is that no matter how gifted or blessed we might be, no one ever gets all they want. This is not how life unfolds. Nothing in nature grows according to plan, but according to the consistency of elements. Nothing in nature grows according to plan, but according to the consistency of the elements. As human beings, we are shaped by the constant elements known as time and experience. We are shaped by those things known as time and experience. So think about that. We're on a timeline here in life, and we have experiences. We call these experiences our stories. We live by these experiences, and they either propel us to a greater yet to be or limit our choices based on the decisions we make about ourselves based on our stories, right? Okay. All our destinations and goals and aspirations, noble and sincere though they might be, are only starting points for our uncharted growth. The way the vines and the bush and the forest braid in unimaginable ways as they grow. Isn't that a beautiful turn of phrase? I so love this guy, as you know. But think about that for a minute. So we have this longing, we have this discontent, we create a goal or an aspiration, we start going for it, and is it a straight road? Hardly ever, if ever. So as we're creating these new pathways, as we're going down these new roads, what stories are we telling ourselves about the experience? It's going to determine the course that we take, right? I know this is just part of the journey. I'm stumbling. This isn't worth it. I don't have the know-how. I don't have the money. I don't. Or I do. Right? What else does Mark say? The search for authenticity is as basic as the lungs needing air. We need to feel authentic to be alive. And this is why I'm encouraging you to look at your stories. This is why I'm encouraging all of us to look at our stories. Authenticity is as important as air to the lungs. We need to feel authentic to feel alive. I so believe this. There is only one of you in the whole entire history of man, the whole entire history of the universe. There is only one of you, one person that had your parents, one person that had your siblings, one person that had your experiences, one. And you are here to express as only you can do it. The experiences are gifts propelling you into a greater yet to be. Are you stepping into it? Are you stepping into it? Are you living an authentic life? Or are you living a life that's driven by stories that are having you push your authentic self down, making it small, making you small, making your life small? I'm encouraging you to live an authentic, full life. What else does Mark have to say? The search for belonging in our own skin, with each other, in the world, and even in the history of life is probably our most persistent and confusing urge. Because belonging is a tangled gift. At the heart of it, all belonging is dependent on the strength and the health of our connections. The story is and has always been a connective tissue of humanity. As long as we ache to belong, we ache for what? A story. As long as we ache to belong, we ache for a story. Lingering honestly in any moment will reveal a story. And I think if we can linger honestly in any moment, it can reveal our true story. And that's what I'm going to urge you to do. Brené Brown, of course, works in the area of vulnerability. To live authentically, we have to be vulnerable. To feel a sense of belonging as our authentic self is an entirely different experience of life than feeling like we belong in an unauthentic way, right? So Brené has given us a ton of tools to help us be vulnerable in this world so that we can live what she calls a wholehearted life, fully expressing, fully releasing who we are into this world, fully revealing what we feel, what we think, and being able to do that and feel safe. Doesn't feel very safe, does it? Fully reveal what we're thinking, fully reveal what we're feeling. Brené Brown's work is truly important work. So what does Miss Brené have to say? When we have the courage to walk into our own story and own it, we get to write the ending. And when we don't own our stories of failure, setback, and hurt, they own us. So in the same way that story of failure that happened to a 4 or 5-year-old little kid owned me well into my 40s, our stories of our failures and setbacks, humiliations, they can own us to a point that we don't live authentically because we won't let our true story emerge. All right? Love that. She suggests that we implement a new communication tool. And she told a great story. I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest version of it. She told a great story of how she was overwhelmed. She was doing far too many things. She had a book tour that was coming up, and she was launching a new product at the same time. And this was her doing. Her staff, had urged her not to do it this way, but she said, "We can do it. We can do it." And as those deadlines were approaching, she was feeling more buried and more nervous and more buried and more nervous. And she's sitting at the dining room table one day, just feeling complete overload, overwhelmed. And her husband comes home from work, opens the refrigerator, and says something about, "Oh my gosh, we don't even have any ham in this place," and slammed the kitchen or the refrigerator door. Well, she said that she'd asked the women and men in the audiences when she was traveling around, what they thought of this. And the women would be like, "He's a jerk," And the men would be like, "Well, cut him some slack." And so it was kind of went that way. And she said she marched into the kitchen and she was none too happy. But he had learned a lot of communication tools, and so had she. And when she started questioning him about, why he was so pissed off at her, why she had done something so terrible, she was just trying to get everything done. He's like, "I never said any of that, Brené. I never said any of that at all." And she said then, here's where you implement the communication tool. Okay, the story I'm telling myself is that I'm doing half a job that a mom should be doing. The story I'm telling myself, I'm doing half the job a CEO should be doing. The story I'm telling myself is that I'm a failure, that I'm just messing everything up. But now you're mad. That's the story I'm telling myself. And he looked at her and said, "Wow, that's some story." but it's not true. And he comes and gives her a hug, and they were able to talk about it. And a little later, she asked him, well, can I ask you why you went into the fridge and yelled about the ham? He's like, well, Brene, I do all the grocery shopping. So I certainly didn't expect you to pick up ham. You're not failing in that way. I do the grocery shopping. And then she realized, well, yeah, that was true. He's been doing the grocery shopping for like 5-6 years now. And then she said, well, why the anger? And he thought about it and thought about it. And he said, you know what? I didn't have any breakfast and I didn't have any lunch. And all the way home, I was thinking about a ham sandwich. I'm hungry. His response had nothing to do with her at all. At all. There was zero in there about Brene. But Brene's story about what happened in there was a teaching moment for all of us. She took it on as her own. She took it on as him seeing her as less than. She made up a big story about that. And her response was related to the story that she made up about that situation. Now, fortunately, she and her husband have a really good relationship and could talk it out. But if she would do that over and over and over and over again, that relationship wouldn't last. It couldn't sustain that. And it's not something that her husband's doing to her. It's something that she's doing to herself based on the stories that are within. So we've got to know, or at least be on an adventure to learn what our stories are. So the tool, again, that Brene suggests is when you're in conflict with somebody, using the story I'm telling myself, the story I make up about this, I make up that something along those lines. Now suddenly you're not coming at somebody, you're telling them what's going through your head, and the defenses can come down and a real conversation can happen. It changes everything. She says if you implement one tool of anything else, implement this tool. The simple words, the story I'm telling myself right now is. And lead a conversation, a rough conversation with that. Because it changes everything. It changes the whole dynamic. What else does Brene say? Risers, she calls people that, this is part of her Rising Strong teaching. Risers immediately recognize when they're emotionally hooked by something. And they say, hey, something's got me. And what do? They get curious about it. We don't have to pinpoint the emotion accurately. We just need to recognize that we're feeling something. There will be time later to sort out what we're feeling. But what we've got to realize is when we get emotionally hooked. When we get emotionally hooked in a situation, we tend to point outside of ourselves as the cause of that situation. When 99% of the time, it's our own stories that are creating that situation, not what's happening outside of us. And she said the cool thing is that how do we know when we're reacting, responding emotionally, that our emotions are involved, and that a story must be bubbling to the surface, or a button must be pushed, or however you want to say it? She said feelings are called feelings for a good reason, and it's because there's changes in our biology. We can feel something inside of our body when we get hooked by an emotion. So for me, when I get hooked by an emotion, I can start to feel heat. It starts down in here, comes up my chest, up my neck, down on my chin, and I can just feel the heat come up. And it's almost like there's anger, fear, sad, and I don't even know. It can be any of a number of emotions, but it starts at heat that's in my chest and comes up my neck and up my chin and into my face. And I can feel it. You have different triggers. Brene said something about how her underarms start to tingle and she can feel her shoulders have something that goes on. You know, if you sit and think about it right now, you know what being emotionally hooked feels like to you. You know the feeling. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. You know, I could read an email or hear a statement and I can feel that tingle starting. I don't necessarily say anything, but I can feel the tingle starting. You know, the response is starting. So what's the question that we do? Again, go back to what she said in the beginning. We have to have the courage to walk into our story and own it, and then we get to write the ending. When we don't own our stories of failure, setbacks, and hurt, what? They own us. If I don't address what's causing this discomfort in me, if I push it down to make everything appear normal and just to move forward, I'm not owning my story. I've got to become curious about it. I've got to become curious. And that's when saying, the story that I'm telling myself about this is, I'm a failure. I am inadequate. I'm not enough. I'm whatever. When we can release those stories, we can step into our greatness. And that's what Unwritten is all about. All of these pages of our life, if we were to have an open book, this is how Mary Morrissey says it, and I just love it. And if you'd like to learn greater about this, in fact, next Sunday, Malika Davi is starting a Prosperity Plus 3 class. I highly, highly recommend that class. It's one of my favorites, and it's just outstanding. Mary says, we have a book, it's open on our lap, and on the left side, there are all these pages that have writing on them right up until the time you walked in and you sat down on the chair you're sitting on. And the other side is blank. And we get to create that. So this is our story side, and this part is unwritten. But we get to decide what that's going to say. We get to choose. But we've got to have an understanding of ourselves before we make that first draft. Right? Right. Or next draft, maybe. All right. So what does Ernest Holmes say? Ernest Holmes wrote this wonderful, it's a really short little prayer that we're going to close with today, and this is from Love and Law by Ernest Holmes. Forget everything. Forget every sense of struggle or strife and realize peace, perfect peace, and satisfaction. We know there is one perfect life, one limitless love, one eternal God, and we know that the one mind, which is God, being the only mind there is the mind which we use, and we know no other thought can influence us. We know ourselves to be divine centers in this one perfect mind, and we know that this word of truth erases within us any fear or lack or disease or grief, for a sense of realization of perfect peace and joy and happiness. Let us each one silently conceive of ourselves as being that which we wish to be. It is done unto us as we believe. And we know that the seed which falls to the ground shall bear fruit of its own kind. So be it. So be it. Namaste.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Gidley, and I am the treasurer on the Leadership Council. And right now is the time to show gratitude for all that has happened here today. We offer several ways to give. There is currently a number on the screen that you can text your donation to. That's 239-320-3820. There's a one-time sign-up prompt, and after that, you just put in and approve the amount, the dollar amount. It's that easy. You can also visit our website at cslcapecoral.org and click the donate button. There's also a way that you can, I guess CSL can accept automatic transfer funds also on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Or you can also send a check to Center for Spiritual Living, and the address is 406 Southeast 24th Avenue, and that's Cape Coral, Florida 33990. We're also asking that if you are making purchases on Amazon right now during this time of the virus going around, we are staying home and doing much more purchases on Amazon. If you would also please go and shop on smile.amazon, and that is also on the screen here, how you can do that. So at this time now, I ask that you take your tithe and hold it between your hands if you have it right now, if it's available, or you can place your hands on your heart as I begin this tithing affirmation. Today I know the activity of divine abundance is at work in my life and the life of this center. I give and receive generously as I live in the flow of bountiful good. We appreciate and love and accept these offerings and gifts in divine love. Through me, blesses each gift and each giver. I know that all this has been given here circulates to do great works both on this spiritual community and in the world at large. Standing in gratitude, I release these words, so please join me in saying, and so it is. Amen, and namaste, and thank you for joining us today.
Prosperity. All you want, then you can have it for free. Try it and you'll see. Inside we're all prosperity. Simplicity. It's as easy as a 1, 2, 3, yeah, yeah. Try it and you'll see. You too can live abundantly. There's no lack or limitation. All you need is inspiration. With a little meditation, it comes easily. You don't need much information. Just try a simple affirmation and come and join the celebration. You will live happily ever after in prosperity. All you want, then you can have it for free. Try it and you'll see. Inside we're all prosperity. Simplicity. It's as easy as ABC, yeah, yeah. Try it and you'll see. Inside we're all prosperity. And when you see the implications of this simple operation, you will accept no imitation automatically. So if you like this exaltation, try a simple affirmation and come and join the celebration. You live happily ever after in prosperity. All you want, then you can have it for free. Try it and you'll see. You too can live abundantly. Simplicity. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, yeah, yeah. Try it and you'll see. Inside we're all prosperity, and you too can live abundantly in your prosperity.
Hello. Now it's time to stand in the light. Now we're going to do this virtually, so what I'm going to invite you to do is either in the comments, if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, there's a place where you can put comments in, put your standing in the light in there, or I invite you to go to our website, cslcapecoral.org. You'll see a button on the top. If you're on your phone, there will be these 3 little lines on the side, and you can click on there and that'll give you the menu. Go to where it says prayer or prayer request, put in what you're standing in the light for so that our entire prayer team can stand in the light with you, knowing the truth. So as always, I'm standing in the light for my entire family. I love them all. I should just hide a basket for Leland this Easter just to carry on the tradition and see if I can outsmart my husband here. I'm standing in the light for my barky dogs, which maybe you just heard. He's wanting some attention right now. I'm standing in the light for my little precious. I am standing in the light for each and every person in my community. I so love and miss you, and I am grateful for this opportunity to virtually connect with you. I'm standing in the light for my extended family and friends, knowing that they are whole, perfect, and complete. I'm standing in the light for Jeff, knowing that this transition is met with peace, poise, and all joy, grace. Grace. Now, what are you standing in the light for? Please write it in one of the comment sections and the prayer requests. Let me speak a short blessing over this portion. I know that each and every one of the requests that has been made here in Standing in the Light has been spoken into an open mind that always says yes. Yes to peace, yes to poise, yes to the perfection that is its nature. And I know that everything and everyone is leaving this celebration uplifted, up-leveled, and changed because we were here together. I'm so grateful for all of these truths that I let it be and anchor them by saying, and so it is. See you next week.